All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome to Around the Bases, presented by GSR Gonzo Sports Room. Going to talk some baseball this morning, joined by the stat guy Dustin Reese. How you doing this morning, Dustin?
Doing great, Chris. How about you?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Been a busy week so far, but hey, I'd rather be busy than not have anything to do.
Great.
Been watching a lot of baseball, a lot of little league baseball. Honestly, I'll be honest with you, I've watched more little league baseball the last week and a half than I have probably major league baseball.
You get a pass for that though. 'Cause this is the one time a year where Little League baseball can take center stage over everybody.
Yeah. And the Reds aren't very good, so it was nice. Plus, this year having that Indiana team in the World Series, a team that's so close to where I live, that was nice too because you got a team that you kind of root for. But
Yeah.
in baseball, I got the world, some news in the World Baseball Classic. Do you want to start out with that?
Yeah, so Team USA, who is the defending World Baseball Classic champions, have officially announced their coaching staff for the upcoming World Baseball Classic in 2023. And Mark DeRosa is going to be the manager. He was a guy that a lot of teams are kind of looking at to be a bench coach last year in the major leagues or even this year in the major league. So to see him get the managerial nod for Team USA is not surprising. He's one of those guys that is very well respected in the clubhouse, very well respected in Major League Baseball. So to see that definitely does not surprise me at all. And then you look at the rest of the coaching staff that he's put together. This could be not only the most experienced coaching staff in terms of the World Baseball Classic teams, but probably the best overall coaching staff. His bench coach is going to be Charlie Manuel, or not Charlie Manuel, Jerry Manuel. His hitting coach is going to be Ken Griffey Jr. And if you're going to have a hitting coach, that's probably one of the guys that you want to hire. And then his pitching coach is going to be Andy Pettit.
Yeah, as a hitting coach, I don't think there's been too many people better hired than probably Ken Griffey Jr. One of the best swings we've ever seen. But you think this will lead to Rosa maybe getting an MLB job next season if this goes well?
I think it could lead to him getting a bench job for sure next year and possibly a major league manager job, depending on how he does. Because if you look at now that they have the team announced, Mike Trout has already announced that he's going to play, and he's been now named the captain of that team. And there's a lot more players that are starting to come forth and say they want to play just because of the whole being a part of the team with Ken Griffey Jr., but more so having a chance to kind of play under Mark DeRosa, who is so well respected that a lot of guys want to play for him. This could be even a more stacked Team USA roster this time around than what they had the last time they won the World Baseball Classic.
You think they'll have with that being said, I would assume that you think they have a good chance of winning it this year.
I think they have the best chance of anybody not named Japan or Puerto Rico because Japan and Puerto Rico are always going to have good teams. That's why they're always fighting for the championship year in and year out. And then Dominican Republic, you also got to throw up there also just because they're going to have some of the best offensive players. But I do think USA is going to be the favorites coming in just because they are the defending champions. They are going to have probably a better roster than what they had last year. And just the coaching staff they put together, I think, is going to have more experience and more big game knowledge than any of these other staffs.
Yeah. Yeah, Japan's always good. That's what surprised me about them in the little league because they're always good in it and didn't have a great season. But not when's does the World Baseball Classic start?
So the actual World Baseball Classic is not until I want to say November of 2023 is when the actual World Baseball Classic starts. But they do have what you call the preliminary rounds, which are set to begin on September 16th and run through October 5th. And what that is, it's a new thing they created this year to add 4 additional teams because instead of having 16 teams, they're going to have 20 teams now. So you're going to have 2 separate qualifiers where the winner and the runner-ups in each of those qualifying groups are going to make the other 4 teams. Pool A, which is going to be the first qualifying group that takes place, is going to be taking place in Regensburg, Germany. Obviously, Germany is going to be the host there. You got Germany, Czech Republic, Spain, France, Great Britain, and South Africa in that regional. And then Pool B, which is going to take place right after Pool A concludes, is going to be in Panama City, Panama, with Panama, Nicaragua, Brazil, Argentina, Pakistan, and New Zealand as those 6 teams that are going to be going for the qualifier.
Okay, so November, so they still got a little bit of time. So basically, them little pools are going to be for the seeding.
The two preliminary things right now are going to be for the final 4 spots in the actual World Baseball Classic.
Okay. How do they seed the other the rest of the teams then?
So the rest of the teams right now are actually, let's see if I can pull this up. I think everything is actually set in stone right now. I think everything's actually set in stone right now as opposed to, so the actual World Baseball Classic is going to start March of 2023. So actually not as far away as original. So Pool A right now is going to be the Chinese Taipei, Netherlands, Cuba, Italy, and then the runner-up from Pool A, which would be the Germany regional for that. So they're going to get somebody from that area. Pool B, you have Japan, South Korea, Australia, China, and then the winner of Pool A. And then Pool C is the United States, Mexico, Colombia, Canada, runner-up in Pool B, and then Pool D is Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Israel, and then the winner of that Pool B qualifier.
Excuse me. How many years in between World Baseball Classics are they? Do they do it every year now?
It used to be every 4. It was 2006, every 3. It was 2006, 2009, 2012. And then they had a break until 2017, but it hasn't happened since 2017 just because of
COVID
and all that stuff. But they want to try to get it where it's every other year to every 3 years. The 4-year gap they feel is a little bit too long because it takes away some of the meaning, takes away some of the feel for it. They want to try to get it every 2 years, but the thing is, if they do that, you're kind of looking at a situation that you ran into this year with the baseball season where you're going to have a shortened spring training. But at the same time, that might not be a bad thing because players and catchers report beginning of February, spring training games start middle of February and basically go until the end of March. If you want to run the World Baseball Classic every other year, chances are the first 3 weeks of spring training would be when that World Baseball Classic runs. So when pitchers and catchers report, you could essentially start the World Baseball Classic at that time, run it the entire month of February, and then as soon as it's over, then just go right into a regular spring training and have like a 20-game spring as opposed to 30.
Now, what do they do like on Olympic years? Because isn't baseball back in the Olympics now? So do they do that where the World Baseball Classic is like on non-Olympic years?
That's why they want to do it every 2 years, because then it allows them to skip that Olympic year if they want to, as opposed to every 4 years, all of a sudden you get to an Olympic year and now you're doing both. That's why they want to do it every 2 years, because it gives them more flexibility where if they need to move it to a third year, they can because of the Olympics. But then you have the Olympics and World Baseball Classic back-to-back years, which is good for the world of baseball.
Yeah, I'm glad they put baseball back in the Olympics because to me, I don't know how you can have the Olympics without baseball. And they were trying to take wrestling out of the Olympics a few years ago. And I mean, that's one of the oldest sports there is. How are you going to take it out of the Olympics too? So it seems like I don't understand. Like my favorite sports in the Olympics are taken out and they're adding like e-gate or esports and stuff like that. And it's like, come on, we can't, if you want to add esports, because I know that's getting big now, that's up to you. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with it, but don't take away the sports that were already there that have plenty of fans, especially baseball. I mean, I'm a big wrestling fan, but baseball has a lot more fans than wrestling.
Yeah, and that's my thing too with like the whole world. I was happy that they brought baseball back to the Olympics, even though it kind of, I'm not gonna say it's a joke in the Olympics, but it's not really the same as just regular baseball. But I'm one of the people that actually wants the World Baseball Classic to be played every single year, mainly because baseball has become more of a world game, not the old America's pastime like it used to be called. It's more of a world game now where you see so many more athletes from around the world playing baseball coming from different countries like Curacao, like Italy, and all these other countries that never used to have like professional athletes. So I think they should figure out a way to get this World Baseball Classic going every single year. Even if the big time major league stars don't want to play in it every year, give some of these minor league kids a chance to do it. Let them actually showcase their skills on a national stage without having to go through the minor league season if they don't want to do it.
Yeah, it'd be a great experience for younger guys, like you just said, especially minor league guys to go play at that level. That'd be a good experience, and it gives the teams to see what a chance to kind of see them in game action in a little bit bigger atmosphere and what they can do. And like you said, fans get a chance to see the young players. But to me, the experience factor would be great because anytime you can play against other competition, especially at that level, it's going to help you.
Yeah, if you look at the 2017 World Baseball Classic, and that's kind of what you were asking about the qualifying too, all 16 teams that played in the 2017 World Baseball Classic have the automatic bid into this one, and then the other ones have to qualify in. But Israel made it to the second round in 2017, and Italy made the second round in 2013. Those are the only two World Baseball Classic teams not to have a major league player on their roster. It was strictly all minor league players, and yet they still made it out of pool play, posting at least a 2-1 record to get into that round of two.
And I would
And
say with
now you see, I think 7 or 8 players from that Italy team are in the major leagues right now, and I think 2 or 3 from that Israel team have made the major leagues right now. So yeah, they were minor leaguers at the time of the World Baseball Classic, but they played well enough, and now obviously played well enough in the minors to be in the major leagues now.
and who knows, them guys might not have got called up to the major leagues yet if it wasn't for playing in that World Baseball Classic and getting an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I know it's difficult to do because you have to find all the venues and you have to figure out a way to get everyone on the same page as to when this event can be played. But like I said, if major league players don't want to do it, let the minor league players do it, because you know the minor league players will do that just to kind of get out of the whole minor league travel situation, just because we know that minor league life is not the greatest. And playing in the World Baseball Classic, you're going to have the top amenities, the top lodging, pretty much first class being taken care of the whole time. And just looking at this Italy roster right now, or no, the Israel roster right now from 2017, the last time they made it to the World Baseball Classic, your catcher was Francisco Cervelli. Your second baseman was Daniel Descalso. You had Alex Leedy at third, Drew Maggi at shortstop, John Andrioli, who's a lifetime minor leaguer, was playing left field, and then Brandon Nimmo of the New York Mets was their center fielder, who was kind of a minor league journeyman up until that point, and since then he's been one of the better hitters on that Mets lineup.
Do you, what about college players? Could they use any of the like college players that maybe haven't gotten to the minor leagues yet? Can they use players like that as well? I mean, is there
They could, but the difficulty with that is I think the only way that they would be able to use a college player is if the college player was drafted to an organization.
Okay.
They were an undrafted free agent and signed with an organization, but I think they need to have at least some sort of game experience or be added to a roster within that minor league system. So whether it's like the Arizona Fall League or Rookie League, I think they have to be a part of that organization to have the opportunity to do it. But if it's something that they decide they want to bring back every single year to do it every year, then I think they would even allow college players to actually play in it while they're still in college if they really want to.
Well, and especially maybe guys that went, like you just said, went undrafted like that, because that could give them opportunity to get to for somebody to see them and get on a team.
Yep.
Frankie in the comments, he's loving it. The Yankees won again last night against the Mets, so he's in a good mood. The Yankees have won a few games, what, 3 in a row now, I think.
Yep.
Um, do you think the Yankees are going to that they've got out of this slump and are going to finish the season strong? They're getting Stanton back tomorrow.
I mean, we said it. We said it yesterday on the show where sometimes all it takes for a team to get back on the right track is to pick up a win against a pitcher that nobody expects them to beat. And that pitcher could have been Max Scherzer, where I don't think anyone expected the Yankees to beat Max Scherzer. Now that they beat Max Scherzer, that could be the wake-up call they needed to jumpstart them the rest of the season.
Yeah, and then you're getting Stanton back, so that's going to help you a lot offensively. Um, I think they'll be all right. Tatis apologizes for man, and then he's going to have shoulder surgery. My question is, if he needed shoulder surgery, why is he just now getting it now? Because you would think it would have been something before he got that had been bothering him before he got that big, and everybody was talking about he was getting ready to come back, and then now he's going to have a shoulder surgery. It don't make a whole lot of sense.
I mean, you're getting paid $36 million a year to miss more games than you've actually played since you signed that contract. Tatis is a problem, and he's going to be a problem for the Padres until they get rid of him. He's immature. He still hasn't figured out that you're making $34 million to be the face of this franchise. You need to stop doing the stupid things that you do. General manager's already called him out on it. His teammates have already called him out on it, and he's just in a predicament now where it's going to be very hard for him to win the respect back of not only the fans but of the locker room itself.
Yeah, I don't. It just didn't make sense to me that now he's going to have shoulder surgery. I was like, dude, everybody was talking like you was like a week or so away from coming back to the team before that happened. I guess when the news came out about it, he took off and left, and the Padres without telling the Padres, he took off, left, and went somewhere for rehab because he said he didn't know what to do. It's like, dude, at that point, you done fucked up. There ain't nothing to do other than to say you was wrong and see what kind of punishment you get. But I think he's going to be done with the Padres, because especially since they brought in Soto. I just don't. I'll see him maybe re-signing Soto and moving on from Tatis.
Yeah.
And the thing is, something like this can not only burn your bridges with the Padres, but it can put other teams where they might think a little bit before they decide to bring you in. So it could hurt other opportunities.
I know, and that's the thing too, where the Padres did themselves a disservice by signing him as early as they signed him to the deal that they gave him. Where now, if they do decide to get rid of him and trade him away, you're going to have another team that's stuck with that contract. And does the team want to be stuck with that contract, knowing the type of person Tatis has shown to be since he's been in the major leagues? That's why I think the Padres are going to be stuck with him unless they can figure out a way to release him, because then anybody would be able to sign him for cheap. But he's just at that point now where he's got to show that he can mature and grow up. Otherwise, it's going to be, I think, a very short major league career for him, because I don't see anyone taking a chance on him if he continues to do the things that he's been doing.
Especially not taking a chance on him on a big contract either.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what do you think about Pujols? He gonna get the 700 home runs?
At the beginning of the year, I would have said there was no way in hell he was going to get the 7 home runs. But with the National League having a designated hitter, with Harrison Bader being traded, with Paul Goldschmidt as your first baseman and Nolan Arenado at third, you can literally plug Albert Pujols in as the DH every single game and just let him hit. He's 7 home runs away. There's like 40 games left around that, 38, something like that. So he's got to average basically 1 home run every 5.5 games. If he gets 1 home run a week the rest of the season, he's going to get 700. That's literally all he has to do. And for a guy like him, it's very doable because, granted, he may not be the same player he was in the early 2000s when he was the best player in baseball without a question. He's still one of those guys that with consistent plate appearances and with consistent at-bats can get hot enough where he can basically hit 5, 6, 7 home runs over like a 2-3 stretch.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. I think he gets it. And what I was getting ready to say, you just said he's hot right now. He's been swinging the bat real well the last week or so. He hit a grand slam the other day. And then, so I mean, yeah, he's finding his swing right now. So I think he gets it. I think he's going to finish probably maybe with like 701, 702, something like that. But I do think he gets over 700. And what getting over 700? Does that do anything for Pujols' legacy? Because I mean, he's already going to be a Hall of Famer.
I think it puts him right up there with not Barry Bonds, but Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron as arguably one of the 3 greatest baseball hitters of all time. And you have to look at it. Albert Pujols played during the steroid era. His career started during the steroid era when Barry Bonds was using them and when the players from the late 90s were starting to get off of them. And he's played through that era. He's played through the way the era is now with the dead baseballs and all the changing of the baseballs. He's gone through that era. He went through the era where the baseball was flying out of the yard. And he's gone through like 4 or 5 different styles of baseball eras. He's been tested hundreds of times for steroids, never tested positive. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's probably going to get 100% of the votes when he's on that ballot. And people are going to put him up on that baseball Mount Rushmore as one of the 4 greatest players of all time, in my opinion.
Well, if he gets to 700, he'd be what, the only the third or fourth player?
He'd be the 4th player with 700 home runs, but he's already, I think, 2nd place in total bases all time. So if he gets to 700 home runs, he'd be the all-time leader in total bases. He's top 5 all time in RBIs. He's very close to 3,000 hits. I don't know if he's actually going to get 3,000 hits, which that's actually shocking in itself that you're going to have 700 home runs and not 3,000 hits. But that just goes to show you how many of his hits were home runs early in his career. Oh, no, he's got well over 3,000 hits. He's got 3,300. So, yeah, he's going to be pushing 3,400 hits. 3,400 hits, 700 home runs, a career batting average of 297. And that's with 4 straight years of hitting under a 240.
And if you look at it now, and if you look at this year, there's not many guys this year that are hitting 297 for the season, let alone for 297 for a career.
Yeah, that's 297 for a career, and that's with a 231 average the last 4 years. And now this year he's hitting like a 274 or 275 this year. So, yeah, he's got a shot to finish his career at a 300 hitter. 300 hitter with 700 home runs, 3,400 hits, and over almost 2,000 RBIs. That's the first ballot Hall of Fame with 100% of the votes without question.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I also agree with what you were talking about with the steroids. He's never been implicated in any of that stuff. And he was there during that era. No, I watched him a lot because the Reds play the Cardinals quite a bit. Plus, my son's a big Cardinals fan. So that was a lot of times we'd go watch the Reds and the Cardinals anytime they were in Cincinnati. I kind of think he kind of is what Griffey Jr. probably would have had the numbers if he wouldn't have got all the injuries. I think he would have got to maybe 700 home runs. But what Pujols has done and never been involved in any kind of scandal or anything, he should be. Hell, they could put him in the Hall of Fame now, and I wouldn't care. He should be a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. You think this is going to be his last season? Has he already announced that it's going to be his last?
He's already announced that he's going to retire after the season, whether he gets to 700 home runs or not. He's done after this year. Which, even if he doesn't get it, he's still going to go into the Hall of Fame. It's not going to make any difference at all what he finishes with at this point, just because of what he's done.
Well, I was just saying the way he's hitting the ball. Why retire? He's hitting the ball better this year, like you said, than the last 3 or 4 years. So I figured, hey, since he's high, he might try to squeeze out another year.
There's one thing he has yet to do, and I think he does it. And the only thing he has yet to do is play in the World Baseball Classic. So even if he does say he's going to retire after this year, I could still see him playing in that World Baseball Classic in March. Just to say that he's finally had the opportunity to do it, just because every single year that the World Baseball Classic was going on, when it started in 2006, he didn't want to do it just because he didn't want to be away from the Cardinals when it started. The next couple of years that it came back, he was injured and couldn't play. And then 2017, he was starting to kind of get into that stretch of his career where he wasn't playing well, and he didn't want to put himself out there if he wasn't playing well. But now he's playing better than what he did 4 or 5 years ago. And if this is really the only thing that he hasn't done, he'll do it. He'll give it. He'll just say, "I'm retiring from baseball, but I will play in the World Baseball Classic and give the fans that one more round of me."
In the World Baseball Classic, if you're from another, like the guys that are playing the major leagues here, but they're from other countries, how does that work? Like on what team you play on? Do they have to play for like the country you're from, or can they?
Nope. If you have dual citizenship, you can play for either of those countries. So Marcus Stroman was the Team United States ace the last time they were in the World Baseball Classic. He's not pitching for Team USA this time around. He's pitching for Puerto Rico. Because he's got dual citizenship in Puerto Rico. He won the championship with the United States the last time out, so now he wants to try to win it with Puerto Rico. If you look at a lot of those teams like Italy, Israel, teams overseas, most of the players on that team are not even from Israel. They're just Israeli descent that was born in Israel, whether it was like through military or whatever it was, and then they moved here, but they have that citizenship in Israel or Italy, so they're allowed to play for those teams.
So that gives guys maybe an option if they couldn't make the U.S. team, they could go play on one of them other teams if they have the dual citizenship.
Yeah, like you could even say like with Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo could play in Team Italy if he wants to. Obviously, he would make Team USA if he wanted to play for Team USA, but he could easily say, I want to play for Italy just because that's where my family's from, that's where my heritage is from, and why not represent my heritage?
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I wasn't for sure on that, but I like that because that gives guys. Plus, it gives when them guys go to them countries and play, man. That gives them the fans there. They get a chance. They get a chance to say, "Hey, Rizzo played on our team." You know, I mean, they could say that hey, a big star from Major League Baseball is playing on our team. So I think that can actually help get more people watching the World Baseball Classic as well.
Yeah, the other cool thing that I found out the other day about it too is Nelson Cruz, who's I think he's like 43 or 44 now, and he's playing with the Nationals. Not only is he playing in the World Baseball Classic in March for the Dominican Republic, but he's also going to be the manager. So he's going to be a player manager for Team Dominican Republic.
Okay. Harper began his rehab assignment, hit 2 home runs. So I'd say Bryce Harper will probably be back with the Phillies here pretty quick.
Yeah, his first home run hasn't landed yet either.
Oh, was it a bomb?
It was about 490, maybe 495. It hasn't landed yet.
I hadn't seen it. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie. Last week and a half, I've been watching a lot of Little League baseball. And then last night I watched some Little League, and then what else was I doing last night? Oh, I was working on some stuff for the pro wrestling show we got this Sunday, and then working on the stuff for the other show.
I need you to get dressed.
Next couple months are swamped with wrestling shows, but do you think Harper will help the Phillies maybe get into the playoffs?
I mean, it can't hurt them.
That's true.
But, I mean, you put him in the middle of that lineup. You have Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Hoskins, JT Realmuto in the middle of that lineup. There's not too many pitchers that are going to be able to navigate through that without giving up some sort of long ball or without giving up some sort of RBI hit. Even if it takes Bryce Harper a month or so kind of to get back to major league speed. Just his presence alone in the lineup is going to give Rhys Hoskins more pitches to hit.
Yeah,
It's going to give Nicholas Castellanos more pitches to hit. It's going to give Real Muto more pitches to hit because pitchers aren't going to want to walk that hitter in front of Harper.
Yep. And also, it makes it with Harper in that lineup where you can't. It's what makes it harder to try to walk like a Schwarber or a Castellanos because you're going to have Harper right in there in the middle. You're not going to walk one of them guys to face Harper.
I mean, unless you're Tony La Russa, where you're walking guys on a 1-2 count, you might do it. But
how does he still have? How the hell is he a manager in Major League Baseball?
He won't be
because of his name.
He won't be after this year.
I mean, how do you? I mean, is that how he got this job with the White Sox? Just basically because of his name?
Because of his name and everything that he did for the White Sox in the 80s.
I mean, because don't get me wrong, he used to be a hell of a manager and everything, but he's getting old.
If baseball still played the way it was in the 90s and 2000s, he would still be a hell of a manager.
Yeah.
But his biggest thing was when he stopped managing in 2011, he was away from the game so long, he's failed to adjust to the way Major League Baseball is played. Yeah, he's still trying to manage. He's still trying to manage the game like it was managed in 2011, and it can work, but it's not going to work for long periods of time.
No, and you have a better chance of it working if he was with a team like the A's or somebody like that doesn't spend a lot of money and uses and tries to play small ball and stuff. He would have a better chance, I think. But yeah, dude, he just hasn't kept up with the way baseball's changed. What do you think about Walker Buehler having a second Tommy John surgery? You think he'll come back? He'll come back from this and be close to what he was?
Who's having a second Tommy John?
Buehler.
I mean, he can because we've seen John Lackey get better after having 2 Tommy John surgeries. But the thing with Walker Buehler that I think he has going for him is not only is he only 24, 25, but he already throws 98, 99, where if this second Tommy John surgery kind of affects him more than the first one did, you can easily make him a closer. Because he has the stuff where he can be a 1-inning reliever and just be your 9th-inning closer. He throws 98 to 100. He's got the good off-speed pitch, and he's got a good breaking pitch. So for him, in his case, maybe his days as a starter are numbered because of this, but I'm pretty sure a lot of teams would gladly take Walker Buehler as a closer.
Yeah. Especially if, like you said, he's throwing 100, 101, there's going to be a lot of teams after him. And a lot with the technology now, that Tommy John surgery, it just isn't as serious as it used to be.
Nope.
And and I know you know this, but man, there's high school parents that are trying to pay doctors to do that Tommy John surgery to their kids that don't even need it yet, just because they think it's going to there's a great chance that it's going to make their kids' arms stronger.
Yeah, and I disagree. I disagree with that side. I disagree with that side of things, but
I do too.
I understand why people are doing it now.
Yeah, I disagree with that too. You shouldn't have a kid to have a surgery that he doesn't need. Just because you see you're taking a chance.
Well, you see the effects of that now, even during the Major League Baseball draft, where you could have the number 1 pitcher in college or the number 1 pitcher in high school, where he ends up being ranked number 1 recruit on everybody's draft board, and yet teams will pass on him because he hasn't had Tommy John surgery yet, and they're afraid to take that number 1 pick, and all of a sudden a month into signing him, he has that Tommy John surgery.
Yep.
You've seen it over and over again the last couple of years where teams are now passing on these high-quality arms if they haven't had Tommy John surgery because general managers and owners now have the mindset of it's not a matter of if they're going to get Tommy John, it's a matter of when it's going to happen.
Yeah, especially because with all the travel baseball and stuff now, these kids pitch even more innings now than they did a few years ago.
Which now they're trying to limit that by it starts in high school now where a pitcher can only throw 120 pitches in like a week or 120 pitches like every 5 days, which, okay, it is what it is. But how many pitchers throw 120 pitches in a game? Very seldom. So you can still have a pitcher throw a 95 pitch 7-inning game. You throw 2 7-inning games a week. That's 14 innings a week, plus however many years and however many starts you get.
Yeah. And because you get some of these younger kids, you get some of these kids that's been pitching, playing little league. That some of these leagues, I know, like little league has rules, but some of these leagues that aren't sanctioned by little league and stuff, some of them don't have hardly any rules on pitching. So you'll see these guys run the same pitcher out there almost every game.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the other thing too, where
And coaches have to be smarter than that when you're, you know what I mean? That's one thing that needs to change is coaches have to quit worrying about winning so much and take care of these kids' arms a little bit. I mean, I coached baseball for years, and I mean, we'd play in tournaments, and there'd be teams that would use one pitcher, maybe 2 pitchers, and play 6 games in a tournament. And it's like, dude, his arms are going to be dead.
Well, that was like a kid that we had growing up when I was in middle school. He was throwing probably like 80, 82 at like 12 years old and was just making everybody look completely useless at the plate. They knew how good he was, and they pitched him 19 straight days. Every time they had a game, they literally pitched him because they knew nobody was going to be able to hit him at that age group. Pitched him 19 straight days. He ends up getting to high school, and he ended up not being able to pitch after his sophomore year because his shoulder was shot.
Oh yeah, and you hear a lot of stories like that, and like you said, like you just said, you've seen it with him. I've seen it here in Indiana a lot. You'll see guys that at 12, 13 years old, you're like, man, he has a lot of potential. But then, because I umpired for like 20 years, so I do these tournaments, played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and hell, some of these tournaments wouldn't have pitching rules, and I'm like, man, you got to have some kind of pitching rule to protect these kids, because if not, these coaches are going to run them out there.
Yeah, the thing with the thing with major league pitchers nowadays too, you could have a 10-year career, 15-year career, and you're looking at anywhere between 2,000 and maybe 2,500 innings if you make every single start, if you're giving them 5-6 innings to start. There's high school kids now that have almost 2,000 innings on their arm.
Oh yeah.
Before they even get to college or before they're even drafted, they almost have 2,000 innings on their arm already.
Oh yeah, I can believe that, because like I said, especially now, because like when I grew up, there wasn't as much as this travel baseball. You played in your league, and then there'd be an all-star team, and you go like playing some tournaments. But it isn't like it is now, where these kids are playing 80 to 100 games in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them. And it's not just baseball; it's all these sports have turned into that. I mean, even in wrestling, I know some people. I know a kid that wrestled 100 matches this year. And I mean, if the kid wants to do it, it can be a good thing. But also, man, you only have so many years of being in your prime athletically, and if you
and I understand both sides of the equation. Like, obviously, people do it because they want to get. People do it because they want to get better at like a specialized sport. But they also need to realize that your body needs to recover. Football takes time off. Basketball takes time off. Baseball gets 3-4 months off before they start things up. As much as you want to improve at baseball, you still need that time away from the game to unwind and kind of let your body recover so it's at the physical shape that you want it to be in.
Yeah, and nowadays there's a lot of athletes that don't do that because of the schedule of like we said, the travel ball and everything else. A lot of them don't take no time to let their body recover. The Angels owner is exploring possible sale of team. I told Jay and everybody on Unscripted last night we should all go in together and buy the Angels.
Well, here's the problem now that Angel fans are going to slowly start to realize. If Artie Moreno, is his name Art Moreno?
Yes.
Yeah, if he does indeed sell this team, you can say goodbye to Shohei. You can say goodbye to Mike Trout. And you can say goodbye to a team that would even, I mean, they haven't really been playoff contenders anyways, but you can say goodbye to a team that would be playoff contenders for probably over a decade. Because if that team gets sold, every single one of the assets with it's going to get sold with it, and that includes Mike Trout and Shohei.
If you think if they sold it, there's a chance that maybe they could would move out of Los Angeles.
I don't think they'll move out of Los Angeles just because that stadium was recently remodeled back in the early 2000s, so it's not like they have an old stadium. But if we're sticking with California, a team that does need to relocate is the Oakland Athletics, and they need to just leave and just never look back, because I don't know if you saw that the other day. The Miami Marlins and the Oakland Athletics had 2,600 people at their game the other day.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't see the game, but I did see some like highlights of it, and you could tell there wasn't a whole lot of people there, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, Oakland is averaging 5,444 people per game right now. Their AAA team is averaging 7,700.
I saw yesterday that Cincinnati Reds are ranked. Their farm system is ranked 4th.
Thank the Seattle Mariners for that, because their farm system went from, I think, 15th to 4th after that trade.
Yeah. Well, we got like 10 new guys out of the couple of them trades we made, and a bunch from Seattle. Seattle, like you said, when we gave up Castillo. I didn't even watch the Reds game last night. I know they were playing the Phillies again, but I've watched it about every game this year except like 2. But once it's, like I said, Little League is my thing once it starts.
Yeah, so you look at Major League Baseball attendance right now. I just pulled up the numbers. The Dodgers lead in attendance at like 48,200, which is not a surprise. Cardinals are second at just under 40,000. Yankees are third at like 39.6. Braves are fourth at 38. Padres at 37. Mets at 33. Houston at 33. And for as bad as like the Chicago Cubs have been, Chicago Cubs are still a top 10 attendance team, averaging 32,700. And then you go down to the bottom of the list. You have Arizona averaging 19, Cincinnati averaging 18, Baltimore averaging 17, Cleveland 17, Pittsburgh 16, Tampa 13, Miami 11, and Oakland is averaging 9,364 people. They have not even hit 600,000 total fans through 63 games.
Man, that's crazy. No wonder that payroll's low. Shit. But that's the problem, though, is that Athletics haven't put a team out there to that's competing to help draw fans in.
Well, it's not only that either. They play in an old football stadium.
Yeah.
So 9,000 people in an old football stadium looks empty. It looks empty. You put 9,000 people, 10,000 people in a 30,000 seat stadium. Yes, it still looks empty, but it doesn't look nearly as empty. At least it looks like there's more people there.
Yeah. Do you think if the NBA played in bigger stadiums that they would draw like they would be able to draw like 30,000 people to a game like some of these major league teams do?
Are you talking basketball?
Yeah, like in basketball, most of them places only sit like what 17, 18,000. If they had bigger stadiums, do you think they could sell like 30, 40,000 tickets for each game, like kind of like the Dodgers or some of these Major League Baseball teams can?
I don't think basketball could, just because you have to have a taste for basketball.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that actually will sit down and watch basketball really until the playoffs start. So I don't think they really, bigger stadium or not, I don't think they'd be able to sell it out. But something I would like to see happen is college basketball teams have bigger arenas. And getting like I love Cameron Indoor Stadium, and that's one of the few arenas that I would keep the way it is and keep it under 10,000 just because of the home court advantage that it brings. But you see how many college football stadiums are bigger than NFL stadiums, and just the atmosphere that it brings. I would like to see college basketball go more so towards the bigger arenas first, as opposed to the NBA, just to see the kind of atmosphere that you can get out of it. Because just look at Look at the Final Four. Look at the kind of atmosphere you get in the Final Four when they're playing in front of 70,000 people.
Yeah.
Granted, I wouldn't do that on like a nightly basis, but take a 15,000 seat college basketball arena and turn it into 25. Turn it into 30.
Yeah, because like a Michigan football game, there'll be over 100,000 people there.
Yep, 110,000 every single week.
It's crazy. And that's one of the stadiums I'd like to go to one time is go to a Michigan game. I'm not a Michigan fan, but just to go to the big house and see the atmosphere. And I gotta get up to Notre Dame too. I've never went to a Notre Dame game.
Yeah, Notre Dame's got a nice stadium. I'll give them that.
I just want to check out. I'm not a Notre Dame fan, but I want to check out the stadium and just because of the history and stuff. But Whew. All right. Well, is there anything else baseball wise that we haven't covered for today?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think of what the Little League schedule actually is today. It's Wednesday. We have Mexico versus Chinese Taipei, starting things off at 12 o'clock.
That's a winners bracket game, right? Correct.
Yep. And then you have Hawaii versus Tennessee in a winners bracket game at 2 o'clock. Nicaragua versus Curacao at 4 o'clock in an elimination game. And then Texas and Pennsylvania in an elimination game at 6 o'clock.
So if Hawaii wins, that puts them in the
If Hawaii beats Tennessee, they're in the championship game.
I was gonna say
And then Tennessee would face the winner of the Texas Pennsylvania game.
So if Mexico and Chinese Taipei is to get to the championship game as well, right?
I don't actually think so on that side because I think because Canada lost to Curacao yesterday. So they would whoever wins that game goes to the international championship, and they would face the loser the losing team would face the winner of Curacao and Nicaragua.
I was kind of surprised Canada lost yesterday because I thought Canada would. I watched that team early in the series, and I thought they would go pretty deep.
I did too, but Curacao was one of those teams that I figured had what it took to get to the international championship game. So I guess losing to Curacao, I mean, it's nobody likes to say a loss is a good loss. But losing to Curacao, I think, is a loss that Canada can live with just because Curacao typically makes deep runs in the Little League World Series all the time.
Yeah. I think Hawaii is going to win it all. I just think that with their pitching, their hitting, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to beat them.
It's not even about the pitching anymore at this point. It's just their hitting.
Yeah, and
they've taken pitchers that physically dominated all the way through regionals, all the way through the Little League World Series, and just made them look pedestrian once they face Hawaii.
Mexico's look good too, but I don't know if they're going to have enough offense against Hawaii. That's going to be. I think that's going to be the key. I think you're going to have to score a lot of runs to beat Hawaii.
Yeah, I think you're going to need at least 6 runs a game. I think you have to get at least 6 runs a game to even have a chance to beat Hawaii.
Like Tennessee today, I don't think they're going to have enough offense.
I don't think so either.
I mean, Indiana had a great opportunity to beat Tennessee and be in this game against Hawaii and blew it. And I'm from Indiana, but that Hawaii team's a hell of a lot better than what the Indiana team is at this point.
Yep.
Looking forward to watching that. Then we got pretty big slate of Major League Baseball games today as well, which I'll be talking about them in more depth at 3 p.m. Eastern on Easy Money, a sports betting show. But it was 1, 2. Looks like there's 12 games. Well, there's more than that. I think there's like 16 games a day.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens as we're starting to wind down and get toward the last month of the season. And I'm ready for playoff baseball. There's not much.
I'm ready for playoff baseball, but I'm just a fan of baseball. I could live with baseball year round.
Oh yeah, I kind of wish I lived in a place that had baseball year round. Hell, here we got another month or two, and there ain't gonna be no baseball here. With this weather we get. All right, well, you gonna be you good for tomorrow?
Yep, if anything changes, I'll let you know ahead of time.
Okay, it was Friday. It was Friday, right?
Yeah, Friday's a no for sure. The next couple of Fridays.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to double check. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank Dustin for being on again. I think I'm having a good time talking baseball, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, with another episode of Around the Bases. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and we will see you guys tomorrow.